The restaurant was too nice for a boy like him. That's what she thought as she carefully adjusted her dress, her fingers trembling just a little from nerves. It wasn't often they went out like this. In fact, it had been years. He had called her out of nowhere that morning. "Come to dinner with me, bring something nice to wear." No explanation, no warning. It had been her birthday last week. No one had remembered. But now, she thought maybe, just maybe, this was his way of making it up to her. So she went. Of course she did. She wore the blue dress he had once told her made her look elegant. She spent over an hour curling her hair, even painting on a touch of lipstick she hadn't touched since her husband died 5 years ago. And when she walked into that place, all chandeliers, sparkle, and piano jazz, she still felt out of place, like she didn't belong. But she smiled. For him. He was already seated when she arrived. His friends were there, 2, 3 of them. All young, loud, well-dressed. She hesitated, not sure if this was a mistake. But he stood up, pulled out a chair, and said loudly, "Guys, this is the maid I told you about. Raised me after Dad died." For a second, no one said a word. She stood frozen. The smile fell from her face. His friends laughed. One of them said, "Dude, what? She's like your second mom, right?" He shrugged. "Yeah, I guess. Technically. But she's not my real mom. She just kind of helped out." Helped out. She sat down, quietly, because her knees suddenly didn't feel like they could hold her weight. Her mind was white noise. She didn't taste her food. She barely spoke. And when the check came, he handed it to her without a thought. "You've got this, right?" he said. And she nodded. Of course she nodded. She always paid, even when she shouldn't. 10 years earlier, she had walked into their lives with a suitcase and a box of recipes. Her name was Angela. She was 35, recently divorced, and had sworn she'd never marry again. Then came Tom. Kind, dependable, widowed with a 6-year-old son named Noah. He needed help. She needed a second chance. And somehow, love happened anyway. Angela never tried to replace Noah's mother. She never forced hugs, never demanded love. But she cooked for him, cleaned up after his messes, went to school plays, sat in PTA meetings, bandaged scraped knees, helped with math homework she barely understood. And over time, he started calling her Angie, sometimes even Mom. That was enough, more than enough. Until Tom died. A heart attack in the middle of the night. Quiet. Sudden. She was the one who found him, crumpled next to the bed. Noah was 12 then. Angry. Withdrawn. Confused. She stayed. Didn't run. Didn't abandon him. Even though there was no legal tie, no obligation, no blood between them. Just years of packed lunches, bedtime stories, and whispered promises. "I'm still here." 2. Now she sat across from him at a dinner table she paid for, listening to him talk about her like she was the hired help. When he stood to leave, his friends already laughing at some new joke, he said, "Let's do this again sometime, Angela." Angela. Not Mom. Not even Angie. Just like that. She walked out into the night air alone. It was cold. The lipstick on her mouth was cracked. Her heels pinched. And still, she walked slowly, deliberately, because something in her had cracked. Not her heart. That had already broken years ago. No, this was something deeper. The part of her that forgave, that stayed quiet, that cleaned the messes without ever being thanked. That part was gone. She went home, sat down at the kitchen table, and made a list. At the top, she wrote, "Everything I gave him, everything I took care of, everything that will no longer be his." Angela didn't say a word the next day. Not to anyone. There wasn't anyone to say it to, really. Her phone stayed silent. No thank you text. No apology. Not even a casual get home safe from Noah. Just digital dust gathering in her inbox while she quietly folded laundry and boiled rice for one. The boy she'd raised, fed, defended, Lovedie didn't even notice she left the restaurant with tears crusting in her lashes. Angela had been through worse. She told herself that, again and again. When Tom died, she held the house together with her bare hands and a breaking back. She sold her car to pay for Noah's summer camp. She skipped dinners to afford his SAT prep courses. When he got suspended in 10th grade for punching a kid who mocked his dead dad, she defended him like a lioness, even when the principal called her just the stepmom. When Noah got accepted into college, she hugged him so tightly he almost dropped the letter. He didn't cry, but she did. She cried in private, sitting on the closed toilet lid with her hands over her mouth. Because she was proud. Because they had made it. He never said thank you, but she didn't expect it. She never expected much. 2. Noah came back from college different. His clothes changed. His tone. The way he walked into the house like he was doing her a favor just by showing up. He never brought laundry, he expected it to be done. He never cooked, he texted orders ahead of time. Can you make lasagna tonight? He never looked her in the eye anymore. The day she turned 48, she woke up early. She put on her softest sweater, the one she used to wear on Sundays when Tom was alive. She made herself a small cake. Chocolate. Noah liked chocolate cake. She waited until noon, then 2 p.m., then 6. Nothing. Not a call, not a knock, not a forgotten card. When he finally came home that night, he tossed his keys on the counter and opened the fridge. He didn't even notice the cake sitting there with her name written in shaky white icing. He said, "You didn't go grocery shopping this week?" She looked at him for a long time, then stood, picked up the untouched cake, and placed it gently into the trash can. "Don't worry," she said. "You're not the only thing I forgot to celebrate today." He didn't even flinch. 2. Angela started watching, really watching. Not to mother him, not anymore, but to remember, to take inventory. He never cleaned, never thanked, never offered. He never visited Tom's grave. He told people she was someone his dad married once, as if she'd vanished with the man she loved. Then, one morning, while dusting around the bookshelf in the living room, she found an envelope. A big one. University crest. Financial records. Tuition fees. Itemized expenses. Her name wasn't anywhere on it. No mention of the fund she had built, slowly and painfully, after Tom's death. She had taken a part-time job at a community center to earn it. Every dollar she saved went into Noah's future. She found receipts. He dipped into the money for more than school. Designer shoes. A weekend in Miami. A new phone. That night, Angela sat on the back porch with her tea and the documents. She didn't cry. She made another list. This time, it was titled, "Proof He Never Saw Me." 2A. It wasn't that she wanted revenge. Not yet. What she wanted, what she needed was to stop pretending. To stop playing mother to a man who treated her like a ghost in her own house. A live-in memory. A backup plan. An unpaid service provider. So she started changing things. Small at first. No more folded laundry on his bed. No more pre-cooked dinners in the fridge labeled with his name. No more grocery shopping based on his preferences. He noticed. Slightly. Confused. "Did you forget to do laundry?" "No," she replied calmly. "I did mine." Then bigger things. She stopped driving him to interviews. When he asked why, she looked him in the eye and said, "You're a grown man. You said I wasn't your mom, so I figured you didn't need a ride." He scoffed. "Don't be dramatic." She smiled. "Don't be ungrateful." 2A. One night, she overheard him talking to his girlfriend in the kitchen. He didn't lower his voice. He never thought to. "Yeah, she's still here. I don't know. She just never left after Dad died. I guess I feel bad kicking her out. She's got nothing else." Angela stood just outside the hallway. "Nothing else." She laughed quietly. A bitter, broken laugh. The next morning, she called her lawyer. She still had the house deed. It had been gifted to her by Tom in a will that Noah had never read. She still had access to the trust fund, not for Noah, but one that had her name carved clearly across every line. She still had the joint account where Tom once deposited every paycheck, and which she had quietly managed ever since. She didn't need revenge. She had leverage. She didn't want to hurt him. She just didn't want to protect him anymore. 2. When Noah came home 3 days later and found half the furniture gone, he panicked. He called her. She didn't answer. He texted, "Where's my bed?" She replied, "It's not yours." He called again. "What is going on? Where's the TV? The couch? The dining table?" She answered the phone that time. In a soft, calm voice, she said, "I took what I bought, what I cleaned, what I fed, what I held together. The rest is yours." There was silence on the line. Then, "You can't do this." "I just did." "You're my—" "No, I'm not." Click. 2. She left behind a note. Not long. Just a single sentence, taped to the fridge. "Maid? No, I was the glue. Now I'm gone. Let's see what breaks first." The house echoed in ways Noah had never noticed before. When he came downstairs the next morning, the floor was cold. No smell of toast, no kettle whistling, no shuffling slippers on tile, only silence, and the sharp awareness that no one had made his coffee. He wandered into the kitchen, still in boxers and a hoodie, expecting to find something. Anything. But even the sugar jar was gone. So was the bread box. The cast iron skillet she loved. The pressure cooker he'd once rolled his eyes at but used more than he'd ever admit. Her stained oven mitts with cartoon cats? Gone. Even the chalkboard she'd used to scribble little notes. "Take your pills. Try to smile today. You're not alone." Wiped clean. At first, he was just annoyed. He paced, muttering to himself. Who did she think she was? Taking stuff like this? Like he couldn't just buy new pans. Like any of this mattered. He called her again. No answer. He called a second time. Left a voicemail. "Angela, this is childish. Come on, let's talk." Still no answer. By the third day, his voice changed. He stopped sounding angry. He started sounding smaller. He called again. I need help. I don't know how to do the taxes. Can we meet?" She didn't reply. That week, a letter arrived. Thick, crisp paper. Legal envelope. His name, typed and centered. Inside, documentation. Every account. Every transfer. Every bill. A complete outline of how she'd withdrawn her name from all financial responsibility. His college tuition? Paid in full by her, years ago. He hadn't even realized. His car? Registered under her name. Now repossessed. She didn't want it, she just took what she'd paid for. The house? Still hers. Tom's will had never been contested. Angela had been the sole legal heir. Noah was never on the deed. He read and reread that sentence over and over again. The house is not yours. 2. Noah showed up at her new address the next weekend. It was a modest condo across town. Quiet. The kind of place with little garden patches out front and wind chimes that danced with the breeze. Angela answered in a soft green sweater and jeans. She looked brighter, like something heavy had been lifted. He didn't even greet her. He stepped forward, voice cracking. "You're kicking me out of my own home?" She looked him in the eye. "Your home?" she asked, calm. "Do you even remember who packed that home for you when you left for college?" "That's not," he stammered. "You raised me. Doesn't that count for something?" "It did," she said. "But you decided it didn't." "I was angry. I didn't mean it." Angela nodded. "Maybe. But it wasn't just one word, Noah. It was 10 years of treating me like I didn't matter." His eyes narrowed. "So this is revenge?" "No," she said. "This is release." 2. Word spread fast. Family. Old neighbors. His father's friends. People started asking questions. Angela left? Why? He said she was just the maid. Some rolled their eyes. Others frowned. A few got angry. Not at Angela but at him. "She raised you," one aunt said bluntly. "Your mother died when you were 6. Angela gave up everything for you. You owe her, another added. He wanted to scream, wanted to defend himself. But what could he say? That he never asked her to stay? That he never called her mom again after the funeral? That he forgot her birthday 3 years in a row? He was the only one still pretending he was the victim. 2. At the house, he tried to host a dinner once. Just a few friends. Cheap wine, frozen lasagna. The microwave broke halfway through, and he didn't know how to reset the circuit. The living room felt bare. No framed photos, no throw blankets, just space. Cold and unwelcoming. The oven was spotless because it had never been used. He sat down on the empty couch one night and realized he didn't have a single memory of setting this place up. Every spoon, every light bulb, every curtain rod had been chosen by her. And now it felt like a hotel room, except no one came to clean. 2. The final straw came when he got sick. Nothing dramatic, just the flu. Fever, chills, aching limbs. But he was alone. There was no tea brewed at his bedside, no thermometer checks, no cold towels on the forehead, no voice humming soft tunes while folding fresh laundry. He stared at the ceiling for hours, shivering. And in that hollow silence, it hit him. She hadn't been the maid. She had been everything. 2. Angela, meanwhile, was busy living. She started volunteering again, joined a women's book club, took yoga classes at the community center, started baking, again real baking, not just rushed weeknight dinners. She opened an online shop selling homemade jams and pies. She named the shop Maid No More. She printed it on every box with a smile. Customers asked, "Cute name. What's the story?" She just smiled and said, "I finally remembered who I am." Months passed. Seasons shifted. Angela didn't look back. She didn't need to. She could feel it behind her, the echoes of a life she'd carried for too long. Finally quiet. The resentment, the weight, the invisible servitude she had mistaken for duty gone. In its place, air, space. The gentle silence of a woman finally alone with herself. She started smiling at strangers, took walks just because. She planted basil and rosemary on her little balcony and talked to the plants as they grew. Every time she made soup, the steam rising from the pot reminded her she no longer cooked for someone who didn't say thank you. Her phone rang less, and that, too, was a kind of peace. 2. But across town, the house didn't age well. Without her, everything dulled. The curtains were always half open, like they didn't know what time of day it was. The fridge was a wasteland of expired condiments and takeout boxes. The sink coughed rust-colored water every few weeks, but no one called the plumber. Noah's girlfriend left. She said the house felt like a shrine to a woman he pretended didn't exist. She said she was tired of sleeping in a place that felt haunted. When she walked out the door, she left behind a single sticky note. She deserved better, and so do I. Noah didn't chase her. He didn't chase anyone anymore. 2. Eventually, he tried to clean, to fix, to redecorate. He bought new dishes, hung posters, rearranged the couch. But the house resisted. It had been built, room by room, with her fingerprints. Every shelf, every doorknob, every drawer still opened with a rhythm only she had memorized. There was a vase in the corner he didn't even know she'd made. It had her initials carved into the bottom. He dropped it once while dusting and nearly broke it. He picked it up carefully, stared at it for a long time. Then, quietly, he placed it on the kitchen windowsill. 2. The worst part wasn't the silence. It was the remembering. He began remembering things he thought he'd forgotten. How she used to tuck the blanket under his chin when he fell asleep on the couch. How she always left an extra toothbrush for guests, even though none ever came. How she kept old drawings of his from grade school in a plastic folder labeled Noah's Best. He remembered the way she laughed softly, like she didn't want to take up space. He remembered the day of his college graduation. He hadn't invited her. He said it was just for blood family. But when he looked through the crowd, he saw her anyway. Standing near the back. holding a single daisy, smiling. And when he didn't wave, she left. 2A. He found the folder months later, in the attic, dusty, weather-stained, but intact. Inside were drawings of stick figures holding hands, birthday cards written in crayon, a construction paper heart that said, "To Angela, my almost mom." He didn't remember writing it, but she had kept it. All those years. 2. He sat with the folder for hours, didn't move, didn't speak, just stared at the flimsy paper and wondered how much she had given, while he gave nothing back. That night, he called her. For the first time in 6 months. She didn't answer, so he called again, then texted, "I found the folder. I'm sorry. For everything." No reply. The next morning, he tried again. "I miss you." Still nothing. He almost gave up. But a week later, a small box arrived at his door. Inside, there was a single item. The daisy she had held at his graduation, pressed between wax paper and sealed in a frame. On the back, a note in her handwriting. "I was proud of you, even when you didn't see me." 2. He didn't cry immediately. He just stared at the flower. So dry, so silent, and yet, somehow, louder than any apology he could ever give. He hung it on the wall, right above the mantel, in the spot where the TV used to be, where her photo had once sat, where he'd always looked past her. Now, every day, he looked right at it. 2. Angela never came back. Not to visit. Not for the holidays. Not even when the lawyers transferred the house back to her name after Noah defaulted on the maintenance agreement. She sold it. Quietly. No fuss. No fanfare. The day the buyers moved in, she mailed them a small envelope with a note. "I hope this house brings you love. It once held mine." 2A. And as for Noah, he started over. Different city. Smaller place. No inherited walls or old ghosts. He volunteered on weekends. At a shelter. In the kitchen. He made soup. He smiled at strangers. Once, he baked a pie from scratch. He used her recipe. Sometimes, he told himself it was too late. Other times, he whispered, "Better late than never." One night, he placed a new photo in a frame. It wasn't of his father, or of a girlfriend. It was a photo of Angela standing on the porch years ago, holding a tray of lemonade, smiling like the sun. Underneath, he wrote in Sharpie, "She wasn't the maid. She was the home."